Okay, great. We are recording. Let's go. So this is Supercharge Lesson Planning with AI. So this is the scope, what we're going to do with the time that we have together. I hope to have spent a bulk of that time giving you a hands-on practice, which is why I've requested for a computer lab so that you can get some hands-on to try out try out AI for yourself to see how good or how bad AI can help you in your lesson planning. Right? So this is the scope that we're going to go through. So let's start with why. So why do we want to use AI to do lesson planning? Right. And I'm sure that you know by now, AI is the big talk of the town. Everybody's looking to AI, everybody's trying AI. And why do we choose lesson planning in particular? Well, Dr. Sharp and myself, we have that same agreement that personalized lesson planning is key to be an effective teacher. Now, he teaches pre-service teachers, and it's important for them to learn how to do lesson planning. But I work with teachers in my school, and we want to look at equipping them with good skills to be able to plan their lessons well so that they become effective teachers in the class. Yeah, I know you've heard this cliche saying that if you fail to plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah. So planning is very critical. It's a critical step in allowing us to become effective teachers. But the design process is often very challenging and it's actually very time consuming, especially if you need to start from scratch. Yeah. And which is why a lot of teachers, after a while, they give up lesson planning and they just try and go into class without really having a solid plan. And usually that affects them as teachers, that affects the learning as students. So that's something we don't want our teachers to do. So we have been toying around with certain ideas, and because of AI, because of how powerful AI has been, we wonder for ourselves, can AI allow our educators, allow teachers to reimagine the process, that it doesn't have to be a laborious, time-consuming, challenging process, but AI can be a leverage. We can use AI to empower us to become better designers of lessons. Yeah. And we talk about it. Can it be allowing us to become more time efficient? Now, I just want to say this at the start. It may not allow you to create lesson plans faster. The time that it takes may still be the same, but I think what we are looking at is the quality of the lesson design given that same time frame. Can it be even better? And if it does save time in the process, why not? Right? But that, I think, is not the main purpose. Yeah. So what we have done, Dr. Sharp, Dr. Brian Sharp, myself, and Dr. Holly Roge, we have come together. We've tried to work out some form of a template, and we are hoping to eventually develop this into a framework of prompts that we can use and to help us to design lessons that really not just makes us become better teachers, but it allows us to create something that meets the diverse needs of our students. And I think that's something that all educators are looking at, not just in US, but in Singapore as well. Our classes are getting more diverse, our students are getting more diverse, and we really need to have some way to design something that really meets the needs of our students. Yeah. So the next step is then, now that we know, okay, there is an importance, there is a purpose why we want to do lesson planning with AI. Now we need to understand AI a little bit more. So this educator, Sam Carey, he is a US-based educator, and he has also been doing a lot of work in using AI to do lesson planning. And you can check out his work. He has this work called The Ultimate Guide to AI Lesson Planning. And I took a lot of inspiration from him. And this is one thing that he mentioned. He mentioned that AI is kind of like a DJ, a data DJ, where it doesn't create something original. AI is not able to create something original. But what it does is it picks up data, it picks up information from all over the place, and it tries to combine them and remix them to something that looks new or looks original. So this is something that we need to bear in mind, because there is this thing called data bias. AI works on the data that it gets. And because of that, it there is sometimes what we call data bias, where AI, it suffers from what we call over or underrepresentation of certain groups or certain contexts. You may not find it an issue because you are based in the US. A lot of the data that AI gets is from the US actually, or Europe or US. But when it comes to people like me from a smaller country in Singapore, a lot of our contexts may not be so easily available for AI. And so this is something that we need to take in mind, especially when you are designing something based on your own context. And if your context is very unique, and AI is not able to have enough understanding of your context, it sometimes cannot suggest something that suits you. So you need to be very careful what you put in. So I give you an example. So in Singapore, we use terms like e-pedagogy, active learning process, and key applications of technology. Now, these are phrases, and the definition of these phrases are very unique to Singapore. So if I were to ask AI, what is e-pedagogy? The answers that AI gives me is not according to what Singapore has defined e-pedagogy to be. So this is something that, especially for educators in Singapore, we need to be very careful when we use these terms. So when you try inputting certain things into AI, you must be very aware of certain terms that you use, certain acronyms that you use, that AI may not know these acronyms, and its definition of the acronyms may be different. Okay, so this is something important. Yeah. So let's go into the prompt template itself, and I'm going to bring you through. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this to bring you through the prompt template and how it looks like and how it works. But before that, let me just explain a little bit more, because in the prompt template, obviously I'm designing it for my teachers back in Singapore. So you will see certain terms that is unique to Singapore. So I need to explain it a little bit so that you understand where I'm coming from. So when we define e-pedagogy, and this is something quite big back in Singapore, where ever since, because of COVID, the pandemic, we are looking at how technology can transform the teaching and learning in our schools. And so we have coined this term called e-pedagogy, where it reminds us, and you'll notice that the letter E is small, all right, and P, the pedagogy, the P in the pedagogy is capital. So it reminds us that we need to focus on the pedagogy and use technology to enhance our pedagogy. So that is the definition of e-pedagogy, where we look at how we create that active learning, and that's what we want. And so we have coined, or we have developed a few areas of where technology has or is able to enhance the learning. Okay, and this is in a way based a lot on research. So research have shown that technology is effective in these few areas. All right, and we have learning together, in metacognition, in making learning personalized, in scaffolding, assessment for learning, conceptual change, and in differentiation. So when a teacher in Singapore wants to use technology, we need to use it in this context. All right. Now, a lot of how we design our lessons is based on the active learning process. So what Singapore is trying to do is we're trying to move our teachers away from that traditional lecture-based, kind of like what we are doing now, right? I'm lecturing to you. So we're trying to move away from that, which is why later on I'm going to get you to do hands-on. So in a way, that is what we call active learning process. And in active learning process, we have these 4 categories. So it's not in sequence, right? And you can jump from one component to another, but a good lesson must have these 4 components. And I think this is not unique just to Singapore. And I think this is something that all of us can take away. Right? If you've not learned anything from my session, hopefully you learned that these are 4 things that you must have in your lesson. First, you need to activate learning, right? To elicit that prior knowledge, to some people call it the hook, where you need to engage the students, get them interested in the lesson. Then you need to facilitate that thinking and discussion, right? You need to have activities, you need to have tasks that promotes thinking and discussion for the students. so that they're not passive, right? They are thinking, they are discussing, they are collaborating. So that's the second part, to promote thinking and discussion. And then the third part is where you need to facilitate demonstration of learning. We need to know whether students have learned, right? And so that's where our assessment for learning comes in. And that's not just the only one, right? There's a lot of other areas where students can show you how much they have learned or how much they have not learned. And so a good lesson plan, a good lesson design must have elements of that as well. And you will see at the bottom that it actually covers everything else. And that is where the teacher, on your part, what you are doing is actually throughout the whole process of activating learning, promote thinking and discussion, facilitating demonstration of learning, you are monitoring your students' learning and you are providing feedback. Excuse me. Now, there are two references that I base the prompt template or the framework on. The first one is from this lady. She's not an educator, but she's a marketeer. And she uses this ACDQ as a way to allow ChatGPT or allow AI to come up with good responses, right? So A is act as an expert or act as a world-class in something. And then she tells us to give a lot of context for AI, because AI needs to know exactly what you're thinking. And I mean, AI, it's intelligent, but it doesn't read your mind. So you must be aware that AI cannot read your mind. I mean, if it can, then that's scary. Yeah, so it cannot read your mind. So you need to give it a lot of context. Then the third one is quite interesting. And she also admits that she doesn't know why it works. But when you tell AI to think deeply, somehow it gives you a better quality response. It's kind of like our students, right? We tell them to be more focused and think deeply, and then they will start to activate their mind a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know why, but anyway. And then the fourth one is questions. Getting AI to ask you questions. So that's something that I felt was quite interesting. The next reference that I got a lot of, that I took from, is from this person called Sun Lee. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So he is an AI specialist, and he has developed a course, a lesson on how to do prompt engineering. So a lot of actually what we are doing is what is known as prompt engineering. Okay, so he has broken it down into this 5 parts, and you will see it later in my prompt template. Okay, so overall, my framework, what I'm working on is, first, we are starting on this prompt template and putting in the prompt template where AI generates using the prompts. Once it has the AI generated lesson plan, the next step, and that's something that I'm working on now, it's how do we analyze this lesson design? How do we know that AI has generated something that is of quality, right? How do we know that it is useful for our students? And so that's something I'm still thinking about. And I invite anyone who is interested in this area to think alongside with me. Yeah, if you are interested to work with me on this area, please do let me know. Then after we've analyzed and say, okay, these are the flaws, these are the areas that we can work on, then how do we refine the lesson design? So there are 2 ways in which I'm thinking of. One, obviously, is the teacher using our own TPAC knowledge, TPAC meaning technological, pedagogy, and content knowledge, which are the knowledge that as a teacher you should have. So we refine it using our own wisdom, right? Or can we tap on AI further? Can we ask it follow-up prompts? What are some good follow-up prompts to ask AI so that AI itself can regenerate that lesson design, right? And ultimately, what we want is a lesson design that is good, that will benefit our students. Okay, so I'm going to go into the prompt template now, and this is where after I'm done with this part, we are going to go into the hands-on. Yeah. So like I showed you, I following a lot of what this gentleman has done. Okay, so you can see task. So we start off with the role. So I first tell AI, you must act as an expert teacher teaching in Singapore. Obviously, this can change, and this should change depending on your context. Now, I've not done enough research to see how, like, when you change the country, what happens, right? I've not done enough research, and feel free to explore, like, change different countries and see what it does and how it changes the lesson plan that AI gives you. Okay, so those words in bold are the ones that you will change later on. So the country is definitely one you will change. Obviously, those, I mean, since we're in America, you will be you must act as an expert teacher teaching in America. All right. Then I go on to say, I will provide you with details about my lesson. It will be your job to think deeply. So that you see, that's where the think deeply comes in, and write a detailed lesson plan. Okay. So now, next, I will tell AI, I want you to design a lesson where students make sense of information and knowledge to achieve deep understanding through interacting with content, their peers or teachers, and reflecting on their learning. So this is actually, I'm putting in our e-pedagogy components inside already. Next, you will see, ask me any questions that you need so that you can write a very well-designed lesson. So that's the Q part in the framework. And then the topic, insert your topic there. Next, context. So this is the context part of the framework. So I want it to organize the information in a table with 4 columns. Now, this is not a requirement. You don't, if you don't put it, AI will just generate it as a list. But I feel that columns helps you to see things better. And most of our lesson plans are all in column form anyway. So it's something more, it's something that we are used to, right? So 4 columns. First column is the duration. Second column is the 4 categories that I shared with you about our active learning process. So I want AI to design it according, again, because I am, this is the context of what I'm doing is for my teachers in Singapore. That's why I want AI to design it according to what my teachers are used to. So feel free to change this part if you think that, if you have your own framework back in your own school and you follow a different category, feel free to change this part as well. Okay, so the categories, activate learning, promote thinking and discussion, and the rest. Column 3 will then be the detailed description of the activities, as well as the questions, right? Because questioning is very important. A good lesson plan, and Dr. Sharp has always been reminding all of us that a good lesson plan must have good questions. Yeah, so we want AI to come up with good questions for us as well. And the questions must promote that critical thinking, and yeah, to get them thinking. Yeah. And column 4 is something very interesting. We want AI to justify. And this allows us to have, in a way, to get an insight into what AI is thinking. Why did AI design this? Why did AI suggest this activity? So in a way, we want to make AI's thinking visible as well. All right. Now, next, the qualities of the output. Lesson plan should be simple, yet detailed enough for any teacher to understand and carry out the lesson. Because a good lesson plan should not just be with me as a teacher. A good lesson plan is something I can share with other people. Yeah, and that's the ultimate goal, where we share good lesson plans with others so that everyone, not just students in my school and my class, but everyone can benefit from a good lesson plan. Okay, now pedagogy is the next part. And because different lessons have different pedagogy, like blended learning, or if you are math, I mean, we are all math teachers here. So concrete pictorial extract is one of them. Or if you want to have a flipped learning lesson, so you put the pedagogy so that AI can design according to that pedagogy. This is also where you need to be very careful with the context, like I mentioned before, because there's bias in AI's, there's data bias. So be very careful what you write here. Do not put acronyms, because if you just put CPA, AI may misinterpret CPA to be something else. So don't put the acronym, put it in full. All right. Now there is the third part. There's something else here that says do and don'ts. So if, let's say, there's something that you don't want AI to take into consideration, or there's something that you want AI to factor in, yeah, that is where you put it in. But as of now, it's blank. Next, more context. All right, so you can see a lot of context. So this is where you have the real, this is where it's the nitty-gritties, the details. So grade level, the class size, ability, the duration, the key concepts, success criteria. So in Singapore, we use a lot of success criteria and we share the success criteria with our students. And if you're not sure what success criteria is, please do find out. There is a bit of difference between success criteria and the concepts. Yeah, success criteria is more of the student's language. Key applications of technology, that's what I was talking about. That's one of our key focus in Singapore. 21CC is the 21st century skills, which I think not just in US, but Singapore, we are also focused on. And our lessons should also help our students acquire these skills. Evidence of learning, how do we know our students learn? Prerequisite knowledge, and that's something that through our experimentation, we realized that we need to put this in because, again, AI will not know what your students already know. So you must be very explicit in your prompts. Yeah, and resources. We realized that when we didn't put resources in, it suggested like weird things, or not weird, but it suggested things that my class or my school may not have. One of them will be interactive whiteboard. Again, I think it's because in US, interactive whiteboard is very prevalent, very common. And so AI, in its biasness, it only thinks of interactive whiteboard. But if you suggest and you tell them, oh, I only have Chromebooks, or I have only iPads, and then AI will then adjust its thinking accordingly. Okay? Now, so after you have edited all the parts in, so like I said, those parts in bold, you need to delete it and type in your own according to your own context, your own requirements. Okay, so all those in bold are the ones that you need to delete and type in your own. So once you have done, the way we have set up so we have used Google spreadsheet because it allows us to combine everything together. And you will see that there's two parts. Again, why did we split into two parts? Because sometimes AI, when you give it too much information, it gets a bit confused. Yeah, AI, I mean, it's smart, but it's not that smart. So I realized that when I lumped everything together and I feed it all into ChatGPT, it became a bit confused after a while and didn't do what I want. So we've decided, okay, let's split it and to allow AI time to think in a way, right? So the first part is here where you put, so what you do is you copy and paste. So you just follow my instructions, copy and paste the first part, excuse me, into ChatGPT. So we have been using ChatGPT, but feel free to use Bard AI or any other AI tool that you know of, all right? So yeah, copy and paste the first part in, and interestingly, you will notice that it will start asking you questions actually, right? And a lot of the questions has already been factored into our prompt. So it's quite good. Yeah. Then after it's finished asking you the questions, then you copy and paste the second part into ChatGPT. So please do use Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V because that's the easier way of doing it, right? So, okay. Now, before we go into hands-on, I know there's a Q&A part later on, but I just want to pause here because I know I've been talking a lot. Any questions that you have regarding the prompt template or regarding how you use this? Are there any questions?
I think they're ready to get started.
Ready? Okay, great. Okay, so like I said, there are these are the two common ones, ChatGPT. So if you're not sure, if you've not used these tools before, let me introduce them to you. ChatGPT, this is the URL, chat.openai.com. You will need to log in with your own account, right? So, and any Gmail account, it's fine. Bard is from Google, so bard.google.com also needs you to sign in, all right? So, okay, so now, so where you get the prompt template, this is the link. So let me explain everything first, and then I'll give you time to try it out. Okay, so this is the link. You go to bit.ly/AI lesson plan 2023. What you will see inside is a Padlet. Okay, so in the Padlet, you will see the prompt template. And you will see my slides for today as well. So this is a link that you should keep with you so that you can continue exploring this at home. So when you click on the prompt template, it will open up the Google spreadsheet. Now, but I don't want you to all edit on the same tab, because that will cause a lot of chaos and confusion because there are so many of us here. So what I need you to do, there are two choices. One, either you make a copy of the Google spreadsheet and then you save it into your own account. So you must have a Google account if you want to do this first step, make a copy. If you don't have your own Google account, you can still work on it. So what you do is you go down to main recipe, the one that you see below, click on the small down triangle and click on duplicate. So it will duplicate this into another tab. And so I hope, and I want you to rename the tab to your own name so that other people in the room knows that this tab is yours and they won't go onto that tab. Okay. So after you have typed in all that you need to type in, then you can start copy and pasting into ChatGPT or Bard. And I want to also see what you have done. So please share your the lesson that was generated with me. So you can do it by looking for this. There's ChatGPT has this share chat function. Bard has the normal share icon. So feel free to share the copy and paste the link into this part here. So I assume that you know how to use Padlet. So please add a new post, share your lesson, and share your own feedback. What do you think about the lesson? Okay, so that's the first part here. Now in the second tab, this is where you share your feedback on the prompts. Were my prompts good enough? Were the prompts that we did, how can we improve on the prompts? What are some things that we should add? What are some things that you think we should remove? Yeah, so this second part here is where you share with us your feedback. You will also see a question column in the Padlet. So again, this is the part where you put your questions in. Okay, Ken? Okay, so I'll give you time. Feel free to start trying it out for yourself. We will stop at about 3 o'clock because I know we have to end at 3:15. So we have about 10 minutes for you to try. So please feel free to try. And if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to ask. All right.
Go to that bit.ly, open up Chrome and go to the bit.ly. Well, Chrome is not getting it.
It's strange loading. I think everyone's trying to get on at once. Would rather like yeah, but it's not yeah.
Let me see if I can get away with
It's like right on my phone.
I think our network has crashed, so I don't know how this is gonna work.
Is it working?
Now, our network, I think, is either crashed or it's an IUP thing, not a U thing.
Oh no. Oh, great.
Yeah. No one is doing any debate because the network is not working. But, let me, okay, how about this, Enoch?
Mhm.
Can you go to the template and we'll just let everybody watch you run through the template? We'll give you some topics. You type them in and we'll see what AI spits out for us.
Okay, Ken.
And we'll do a group lesson plan.
Yeah, why not? Okay, hold on. Let me open. Wait. Can you see when I switch screens?
Yeah.
Yeah, the template is up.
Okay. Okay, come.
Let's change Singapore. Let's change it to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Change Singapore to Pennsylvania.
Okay, hold on. Let me make a.
Now we'll see if somebody from Singapore can spell Pennsylvania.
You are testing me, Pen.
PENN
Uh-huh.
S Y
Uh-huh.
L
Oh, we forgot a letter.
V A
And
N
I,
I A.
yeah. Okay.
What do you want to lesson plan about?
Okay. What topic?
All right,
Oh, you're gonna walk.
comparing part whole fractions.
Comparing part whole fractions. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Specific pedagogy. Come on.
What kind of pedagogy? Give me a word you've learned about pedagogy. They want to do CPA. That's
Okay.
what Dr. is doing. Of course, you got to type that out. But
Yeah.
type out concrete pictorial.
Pictorial abstract. Okay. All right. Wait, let me zoom in a bit so y'all can see. Okay. Grade level.
I think part whole compares third. Let's try third grade.
Class size.
American school 20, 25. At 20.
I would put mixability.
Yes.
Okay.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay. Key concepts.
Let's go part whole. What's key concept? What's key things you know about fractions? Okay, how about the numerator, denominator? Comparing values. Yeah, that should be good enough.
Okay. Students will be able to
Compare two fractions and determine which is larger.
Right. So technology, what do we want technology to be able to do?
They can make the chips.
Provide differentiation.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll just keep it as that. All right. I think is there any 21cc skills? Or we can skip this.
let's keep it.
Yeah, okay, I'll delete this. Evidence of learning. How do you want students to show you that they have learned?
Discussion, answering questions, completing tasks.
Okay. What do they already know? The prerequisite knowledge.
Let's say they know 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4. They know unit fractions.
Already know unit
They know
fractions.
unit fractions.
Okay. What resources do we have in class?
Say smart board.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep it that.
Okay.
We'll run out of time.
Okay. So I'm going to copy this. Can you see the AI screen?
No.
No, we
No.
just do
Okay, so let me stop sharing and I share the other screen. Okay. Now you want me to use ChatGPT 3? Okay. I'll use 4 because not many people have 4. So I want to show you the difference. Well, I'll show you how 4 is like. Okay. So I'm going to paste this in. And then you can see the response. Are y'all seeing the response?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see that they are actually asking kind of the similar questions that we have already been we've been thinking of, right? Okay, so I'm going to copy the next part. So everything else, so you can see it's a long list of commands now. And then here we go. You can see it's creating a table. All right. Let's zoom. Oh, I can't zoom in. Yeah, okay. So you see 5 minutes, activate learning. Short interactive quiz on the smart board because we mentioned that there is a smart board. All right, and it's reviewing unit fraction. Again, it's because we have told it that there is a prerequisite knowledge, right? And then questions. Can someone remind the class what a numerator is? What about a denominator? So, and the justification, refresher, ensuring all students recall the basic fraction terms. Yeah. Then promote thinking discussion, present various fractions in concrete manner because we have asked it to design it using the CPA approach. So using manipulatives, fraction tiles, pi sections, pair them up, discuss which is larger. So which fraction is larger, 2/3 or 2/5? How do you know? How might these fractions look different if we drew them? Interesting. All right. So concrete representation helps students visualize, making abstract concepts tangible. Yeah, pair discussion, because we wanted thinking and discussion, right? So pair discussion allows for peer learning and collaboration. Then facilitate demonstration, transit from concrete to pictorial. Smartboard show drawn representation of fractions, ask them to compare. Drag and drop fractions in ascending or descending order. Question is, how does this drawing shows 3/4, which is larger, 3/6 or 4/6? Can you order them on the board? And then monitor and provide feedback. This is where it goes to the abstract phase. Distribute short worksheets with pairs of fractions. Circle the larger fraction. Snap a picture. Submit it via classroom management app for immediate feedback. So the Smartboard polls students 5/8 or 5/7 larger. Why? An open discussion, what was learned, and this is the wrap up and the reflection. What strategies do you use to determine which fraction was larger? How can understanding this helps in real life scenario? So differentiation, use of smartboard allows for visual learners. Yeah. So what do y'all think? Is this good enough?
Yeah, it's awesome. Impressive.
Yeah. So it's a really good start for teachers. Yeah, we don't need to think from scratch, but it's a good base to start on, right? Dr. Sharp, anything you want to add? What do you think about this?
Let's look at a different, so if you do plans for me, you have to tell me how you differentiate the lesson. So ask it, how is this lesson differentiated? You see what it has there now, but we're going to ask it that specific question and see what pops up.
How was the lesson differentiated? Okay, let's see.
You have it differentiated for each of the types of learning styles.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's through pace differentiation, technological differentiation, peer learning.
There's choice.
So if your lesson plan is missing something, you do another prompt and ask it, put in what's missing, or maybe ask it to create, can you create more questions in the lesson plan? Let's see what happens there. It actually does create more questions.
So you can see that it actually regenerates according to the table. Yeah, so that's something amazing about AI. That it's amending or it's editing itself, right? So it uses the previous, what it generated previously, and it's enhancing it. So you can see here a lot more questions. Now it's talking about real life situations.
Yeah, so it's not going to give you a perfect lesson plan. You're going to have to look at what it gives you, identify the weaknesses in the lesson plan, and then get a new prompt to try to get it to correct the weaknesses that you see. So you already have to know how to create a good lesson plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now I think time is almost up. Before I end, any questions that anybody have? Okay, so let me finish up. Let me share my screen one last time. And I'm so sorry that the network isn't working. Yeah, but feel free to take down this. So I hope if you've not taken down the bit.ly link, please feel free to take down and try it for yourself. Yeah.
You can take a picture of your phone if you want to try it when you're up and then.
Yeah, so feel free to take a photo of this
Feedback
slide.
not because we don't have internet access.
Yeah. So you can try it when you're at home or when you're free. So yeah, please feel free to share your thoughts about this, right? Some of the questions that you may have, some of the key takeaways that you have learned from this session. I just want to leave some final words, like what Dr. Sharp mentioned, that this is not the perfect lesson plan, right? And we should not rely on AI to give us the perfect lesson plan, because AI has its limitations, and it will never, and it should never ever replace us as teachers. I always like to think of AI as it has artificial intelligence, but we as humans have the wisdom, the human wisdom. So the idea is, how do we combine artificial intelligence with our own wisdom, our own experience, our own context, and our own knowledge of the students? Ultimately, AI won't know your students as well as you know them. You know what works for them, you know what doesn't work for them. So AI gives you a good start. it kickstarts your planning process. And it also gives you inspiration that, hey, I didn't think about this. Oh, these are questions I can ask, right? Or these are ways I can differentiate my lesson. So these are things that you may not be able to think of, right? Especially if you are creating lesson plans on your own. Yeah, you need someone to spar and work together with. AI is that good partner that you can spar and think of ideas with, right? But it should not replace you as a teacher. Yeah, so that's something I want to emphasize, and I really hope that using AI is going to help you become better teachers, to give you the inspiration, to give you the ideas to make your lesson so much more interesting for your own students. All right, with that, I thank you so much for coming for this session. Yeah. Any
Thank you.
last words, Dr. Sharp?
We'll see you there. Hope you get better. See you next week.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye.